marketing stuff. No, I said, I don't think so. Well, you're thinking he's not my problem. Marketing for who, Tommy? That, he said, is none of your business at this time.
At this time?
From behind the curtains, I soon heard the familiar Tommy puttering sounds that I'd grown to loathe. I headed for my corner of the apartment. That's fine, Tommy, I said. I'll pay the extra rent. You just keep lying to yourself. With that, I slammed the bedroom door. Tommy was shouting at me 5 seconds later. Don't you slam your door, young man. Remember, you are a guest in this house. I didn't say anything. 10 minutes later, though, he opened my door and began doing his nightly pull-ups. As soon as I get a place, I thought, watching his grave, spectral face go from white to an engorged red, I'm not even giving you a warning. I'm just going to disappear. A few days later, the Armani Exchange on Sunset Boulevard, where I'd fruitlessly dropped off an application months before, called me in for an interview, which ended with them hiring me on the spot. It only paid $8 an hour, but it was something. I returned home to tell Tommy the good news. Unusually, he wasn't there. When he finally returned around 6:30, I casually asked him where he'd been. Tommy played coy for a little while, but finally admitted he was taking a cold reading acting class run by Brian Reese, a fairly well-known acting teacher whose studio was right down the street. Reese's cold reading classes, wherein students gather outside on the corner of Hayworth and Fountain and have a couple of minutes to do unprepared readings of material they're not familiar with, were popular. I drive down Fountain sometimes and see actors of all ages out there cold reading for one another. I was happy to hear that Tommy was taking a class. As far as I knew, he'd had almost no human contact with anyone but me since he'd arrived in Los Angeles 8 months ago. I also figured a cold reading venue was more suited to Tommy's talents. In San Francisco, acting classes could be staid and self-important, at least in my experience. I imagined that Los Angeles' aspiring actors would be more receptive to Tommy's brand of thespian bonkers. Tommy assured me he was having a great time in the cold reading class. I make some friends, he said. I can make friends too, you know, Earl. He went on to tell me how his classmates would sometimes start chanting, Tommy, Tommy, as he got up on stage. LA was embracing Tommy Wiseau then. This was good for all sorts of reasons. Then, another positive development. A guy in my Santa Monica College film class mentioned that his friend was moving to Barcelona for work and needed a long-term subletter. As it happened, the apartment in question was across the street from Tommy's place. Better yet, all the subletter had to do was pay utilities and forward the guy's mail to him in Spain. And the place itself was gorgeous. A 2-bedroom in a colonial-style building with an amazing view of sunset and lovely gardens in its shared courtyard area. Now, all I had to do was break it to Tommy. He wasn't around when I got home. He was still at his cold reading class. While I was eating dinner, I noticed that Tommy had, for some reason, left his ID out on the kitchen table, along with a bunch of papers. It was a California state driver's license. Name, Thomas P. Wiseau. Date of birth, October 3rd, 1968. That would have made him 32 years old. I put the license down. Maybe all this time, Tommy hadn't been lying to me about his age. Was it possible he really was in his 30s? If Tommy wasn't lying about this, maybe he wasn't lying about everything else.